Welcome to Whisper of Haunted Waves. Tonight, we enter a story wrapped in childhood innocence, but dripping with something darker, older, and far more intelligent. A story the Warrens called one of the most dangerous cases they ever encountered. A story about a doll that never walked, never talked, never blinked, yet managed to spread fear, chaos, and death wherever she sat. This is the real Annabelle doll, not the Hollywood creation, but the true case that terrified seasoned investigators and convinced even skeptics that something sinister can hide behind the soft smile of a child's toy. Our story begins in the early 1970s when a young nursing student named Donna received a simple gift from her mother, large Raggedy Ann doll, harmless and cheerful. Bright red yarn for hair, a cotton body, buttons for eyes, a stitched smile that seemed to comfort rather than scare. Donna placed the doll on her bed in her apartment, which she shared with her roommate Angie. At first, the doll was just decoration, something sweet, something innocent, something normal. But normal does not last in this story. Within days, Donna noticed something strange. The doll wasn't where she had left it. One day its legs were crossed differently. Another day its arms were positioned oddly. Then it sat upright when she was sure she left it lying flat. She brushed it off as forgetfulness. Angie did the same. But subtle movements became bolder. They would leave the apartment for hours, return, and find the doll in the kitchen. Then the living room. Sometimes kneeling unexpectedly in a chair-on, impossible pose for a soft doll that couldn't hold weight or balance. The apartment seemed disturbed when they weren't there. Items misplaced. Doors left ajar. Sounds in empty rooms. And Annabelle always in a different position. One night, Donna came home exhausted. She dropped her bag, turned toward her room, and froze. Annabelle was sitting neatly on her bed, back straight, head slightly tilted, arms resting gently on her lap. But the doll wasn't the problem. It was what was on her. 3 small drops of blood, fresh and dark, appeared on the back of the doll's hand and chest. The fabric was stained. No explanation. No wound. No source. That night changed everything. Donna and Angie were frightened enough to reach out for help. They called a medium, who visited their apartment and told them a heartbreaking story. According to the medium, the spirit of a 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins lived in the apartment building long before it was constructed. She had died young. Her spirit wandered. She saw Donna and Angie as loving, kind, and caring. She wanted to stay with them, and she chose the doll as her vessel. Moved by sympathy, Donna and Angie did something dangerous. They allowed the spirit to stay. They gave it permission. They welcomed it. But the Warrens later warned that this was the moment everything turned truly dangerous, because there was no Annabelle Higgins, no child spirit, only an entity pretending to be innocent to gain trust. And with permission granted, the darkness inside the apartment grew bolder. Donna's friend Lou hated the doll. He felt watched, followed, threatened. He warned Donna repeatedly to get rid of it, but she refused. One night, Lou was sleeping on the couch in the living room. The apartment was quiet and still, until he opened his eyes and saw the doll at his feet. But that wasn't the worst part. He suddenly couldn't move. He tried to speak, tried to scream, tried to lift his arms, but sleep paralysis held him down like invisible hands pinning him to the sofa. He watched as the doll slowly climbed onto his chest, though its movement was more like a shift in reality than actual walking. It pressed against him, heavy, suffocating. He couldn't breathe. He felt something touching his throat, fingers tightening, until he blacked out. When he woke up, the doll was back in the corner where it always sat. Days later, Lou and Angie were discussing the case in Donna's room when they heard something moving in the apartment, soft rustling, like fabric dragging. They froze. Lou opened the bedroom door and entered the living room cautiously, expecting an intruder. Instead, the room was empty. But then something behind him moved. He spun around and saw Annabelle now sitting upright against the wall. Before he could react, he felt a burning pain slash across his chest. 3 long scratches, then 3 more. 6 marks total, bleeding, burning. But the next day they vanished, like the attack had never happened. That's when Donna finally called for real help. She called Ed and Lorraine Warren. When the Warrens entered the apartment, Lorraine immediately felt a presence, heavy, hungry, watching. She said the air felt thick, like something unseen was pressing against her chest. Ed asked about the psychic's claim that a child's spirit was involved, and Donna repeated the story. The Warrens exchanged a look. They knew instantly this was not a child. Ed explained that spirits of children do not attach to objects. This was a lie, one used by darker forces to gain sympathy and permission. What Donna and Angie believed was the spirit of a trapped little girl was actually an inhuman entity attempting to infest the apartment, and eventually possess a living person. The doll was not possessed. Something used the doll as a puppet, a mask, a doorway. The Warrens performed a cleansing ritual in the apartment, but they knew the entity was attached to the doll itself, so they decided to take Annabelle with them. Even the car ride home was dangerous. The Warrens placed the doll in the back seat, and almost immediately, the car engine sputtered. The steering wheel locked. The brakes failed repeatedly. Ed sprinkled holy water over the doll, and only then did the disturbances stop. Back home, they placed Annabelle in Ed's study, and within days, the doll levitated. Not constantly, not violently, but enough for them to realize the entity was still active, still observing, still manipulating. A priest visited and mocked the doll, claiming nothing evil could come from a piece of cloth. Ed warned him, but the priest dismissed it. On his way home, he lost control of his car and nearly died in a violent crash. Many believed Annabelle was responsible. Over time, the strange activity escalated. Footsteps in empty hallways, growling noises near the museum, visitors fainting or feeling scratched after approaching the case. One man taunted the doll, banging on the glass, shouting that she wasn't real. Ed threw him out. Hours later, that same man died in a motorcycle accident. Witnesses claimed he had been laughing about the doll minutes before losing control. The Warrens knew the doll needed to be locked away permanently. They built a special case, holy water-infused wood, thick glass, sealed with prayers and rituals. They placed Annabelle inside and warned visitors never to touch the case, never to provoke, never to underestimate. And there she remains, sitting silently behind glass, her stitched smile unchanged, her button eyes staring, her presence still felt by anyone foolish enough to stand too close. Even now, caretakers say they hear tapping from inside the case at night, a faint scratching, a soft thump, as if something inside is restless, waiting, watching. The real Annabelle doll is not evil because she moves, or because she speaks, or because she kills. She is terrifying because something intelligent, manipulative, and ancient uses her as a mask, a Trojan horse of innocence, a vessel for something that does not belong in this world. Annabelle is not a doll. She is a warning, a reminder that evil does not always hide behind sharp teeth or monstrous shapes. Sometimes it hides behind a soft cotton smile. Thank you for watching Whisper of Haunted Waves, and remember, not every innocent object is truly innocent. Some things are better left untouched, some spirits are better left alone, and some stories should never escape their glass box. Follow for more.